And here we are again on another fine, rainy Thursday. I got Bacon here again to harass me and ask questions.
That's what I do every day.
It is what you do every day. That's just our entire friend mechanic with our entire friend group. So, but yeah. I have no idea where to start today. I mean, yesterday we at least had somebody here asking questions, and gave me enough to ramble about for half an hour. But today I just feel like dog shit, so it is gonna be a
Are what
long
you
day. Heh fuck you.
Ah!
I'm getting killed by dinosaurs over there.
I'm not getting killed by dinosaurs. I'm playing Half-Life now.
Oh, so you're getting killed by zombies and head crabs. Got it.
No, it's the soldiers that are getting me right now.
Oh, the Combine, or just the... No, yeah, that's right, you're playing Black
The
Mesa.
original one.
So, yeah, it is just soldiers. Good luck, have fun.
Wrecking the shit.
Yeah. Well, it's something. Oh, let's see here. One of the primary stories that I haven't ranted about in a while would be the Rugenda story. Bacon was once part of that entire campaign.
Yeah.
My Pathfinder campaign that you guys were part of, for lack of another term.
Yeah. Oh my god, what is that
What
noise?
the fuck are they doing? He's got a compressor or something going down there. Hold on.
Oh god.
It's still going. The whole house is shaking right now. I don't know what he's doing, but it is fucking loud.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's getting the air compressor going for.
Might be nailing boards down, so he needs it.
Yeah. He's been working on trim for their bedroom for the last week. So
Oh yeah, probably a stapler or a nailer.
that's what he was running the saw for the last several days. It's... Yeah.
I'll be right back. I'll join you in Pavlov in a second.
Pavlov.
You're playing Pavlov, aren't you?
No, I'm doing my writing stream.
Why the fuck is your Pavlov stream going right now, then?
It's not.
For
I don't
some
have
reason
a
it had
Pavlov
it.
stream.
It automatically played the one from yesterday. I'm like, oh, he's playing Pavlov. I'll join him. There you go.
No. I'm down for Pavlov after I'm done with this, but I have to at least get, something done here.
Yeah.
But yeah, go do your thing quick while I continue gathering what the fuck I'm doing right now.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yep. Let's see here. Suppose I haven't talked about the Rugenda story in quite some time, because I put it on hiatus. And that's mostly because I felt it needed a necessary rewrite. I just wasn't satisfied with how it was coming out, and I kept stressing over what was supposed to happen chapter by chapter by chapter, and I just ended up killing myself over it. And I felt like throwing it out the window. So, basically the same levels of stress that the Team 4-star guys were dealing with shutting down Dragon Ball Z Abridged permanently. And I don't blame them for that. They've been working on it for so many years, and when you turn something that's a passion project into a job, it does accumulate a shitload of stress. I mean, this was never a job for me, but it did take up quite a bit of my time for the course of the last 13 years. Almost 14 years. I mean, I started writing and doing stories and stuff back in the freshman year of my high school. And just kind of going from there. I didn't really start writing and doing it passionately until I started playing D&D, to be completely honest with you. And then it just went from there. Okay, why are you opening up Cortana? I don't even have you registered to be on. Go away. But, just getting him back here, and we'll go from there, because until people ask questions, I don't entirely know, what to talk about. Rambling the last several days has kind of left me up in the air. I never really plan these, I just expect to ramble for half an hour, or if people actually show up and I start gaining more followers, to have questions asked and I can start answering questions rather than just thinking of them on the spot. That's more of what this was for, was a forum, in a sense. Let's see here. Working on that. Close that out for a minute. I'm still waiting to hear back from my artist. That's gonna be a long process because she's living her own life right now and dealing with the entire pandemic thing, and living next to New York, it's gonna be a little bit. I still have to get a hold of a scanner and get the drawing for Claire up. It's just getting a hold of a printer with a scanner, since I don't work at a warehouse that has one anymore. Because before getting fired a couple weeks ago, I was working full-time in a warehouse, doing receiving and shipping, and stocking, and all sorts of fun shit like that for HVAC and plumbing stuff. And I at least had access to a computer consistently. Now I don't have access to a printer or a computer outside of home, other than going to the library, but the library isn't open right now. At least not the one next to me. I'd have to go out a ways, probably. And that... I'm still a few pages off from finishing the next chapter of Panic, my psychic story. For anybody who, has paid attention to that so far, it's coming along. I'm getting there. I just want to make sure it has enough to be considered a full chapter. And that's usually my problem. I don't ever feel like anything I post is quite enough to keep people occupied. And that's more so because I know some very intelligent people and some very, very fast readers. And on the same hand, I was dealing with some people who, it would take them several weeks to get through a chapter, even though it was only a few pages, and they just never had time for it. So I don't have to deal with them anymore at all, but that's because I don't work at at my last job anymore. So let's see. Gathering my paperwork here and scrolling through. Trying to figure out what to do here. So I'm gonna have to have more to talk about tomorrow, and then of course since I'm going to be doing these every single day, unless it's probably a smarter idea to cut it down to 3 days a week, but I'm also not nearly as active then, and I can't find nearly as many people to come watch at that point. It's a really big balancing act. That's what streaming is. It's a huge balancing act of finding people who are constantly there on top of being constantly active, finding people to subscribe and donate and follow and consistently come back is it's always the biggest struggle for people who are just starting out. I mean, I've been streaming for 2 years now, and I don't think I've ever had more than 12 people view my stream at any given one point in time. 99% of the time it's just 1 or 2 people. And I get that. I'm not super skilled or super entertaining yet, and getting started is really difficult. It's just how it is. It's a numbers game, and you need big numbers to progress. Grandparents are still hammering away upstairs, working on trim in their bedroom, because they're both retirees and they can do whatever they want right now. Let's see. I suppose I could ramble a bit. Oh,
Or a ramble.
back. Welcome back.
I am.
I was just rambling for the last 10 minutes, pretty much, about things. About getting, popular on Twitch, and how fucking difficult that is for, me. Or people our size channels and stuff like that. You gotta always constantly be up if you want people to find you. What are you doing? Really? Anus tart? What the fuck are you doing in my chat? Get this man out of here.
Nah.
It doesn't even pull up on my Streamlabs chat. It just shows up on everything else. And apparently my mom's watching. That's not surprising either.
Oh.
The hell should I even ramble about? Like, what do you want to know, Bacon? You're one of my patrons now. What do you want to know?
Everything. The
That's
meaning
not
of
specific
life.
enough. Cake. Cake is the meaning of life. If
Wrong.
anyone tells you otherwise, they're probably wrong.
No, it's 42.
I don't like using that reference because everywhere I look, I see the number 42, and it annoys the crap out of me. Like, every afternoon, or in the middle of the night, I will wake up, look at the clock, and it will be 4:20. Just all the fucking time. I'll look over at my clock, over on, my monitor, or the clock on next to my TV, and I will look at it at 4:20 in the afternoon almost every other day. It drives me bonkers. Well, ask questions. Like, what do you want to know? Like, I have several projects up there.
I haven't really looked into them too much yet.
Well,
Let me look
motherfucker.
quick. Give me a second.
God damn it. You decided to be a patron without doing anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bastard. I appreciate it, but you're a bastard.
Pretty much.
Well, I have the Rugenda story, which is the fantasy story that you guys are all doing in Pathfinder campaigns and everything else.
That's the one with the like different elemental powers and stuff.
That was with the anima system, yes. Where everyone had, innate magical power, even if they weren't mages. That's where that entire story turned into. Panic is the psychic anime style story that I've been working on, the one that's based around mental traumas and stuff like that. Slayer is the RPG game concept that I went over with you like several years ago, because we don't have a good first-person monster hunting game.
Yeah.
We have a lot of third-person monster hunters and Lovecraftian and the name just slipped my mind, Van Helsing style games, but we don't have a good
Hunt Showdown.
first person. Hunt is okay, but it's not what I'm thinking of, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a PvP experience. I'm looking for a solo or co-op experience of hunting monsters. Werewolves, vampires, ghouls, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We don't have anything like that. And I wanted it in a concept
would be
of...
Witcher. Witcher would probably be the closest.
Yes, but it's also steeped in magic and stuff like that. The concept I'm thinking of, you're just a fucking human.
Oh.
That's it. The closest thing you have to magic are spell slips. Like, one-time use, you throw a fireball and it's gone. And if you use too many of these slips in a row, you start on fire. Shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's... the concept I have for it is more of a stealth game. And there goes my grandfather's air compressor again. Just a moment. And it's off again. There we go. So, I had concept for it, and the pilot ideas for it are all up, and I'm working on the engine for it now. I don't think I'll ever be able to make the game myself. It's just a matter of finishing all of the details and then sending it to a company that can finish it.
Yeah.
Or can work on it, and then I can just supervise the entire thing. Let me see here. Because one of the major things is you are just a human. And even if you play with co-op, you're just humans. So you're fighting these supernatural beings, and they can overpower and destroy you. So I want it to be a either primarily stealth experience, or if you want to go head-to-head and just straight up fight things, you have to prepare a lot. So every single object has its own visibility on top of its weight. So, like, the sheen of a larger sword is going to be much more noticeable than a dagger.
Yeah.
And of course, the visibility of it all, it's much easier to hide a dagger and hide behind a corner of something than it is to hide a glaive or a halberd. So that also leads to co-op play using someone as a decoy who has big heavy armor and a huge weapon to defend themselves with, while you sneak around and take pot shots at them.
Yeah.
It just leads to different experiences. What's weird is the entire concept for it came into me in a dream, and it was weird.
Huh.
It was just plain weird. So, mechanically, I was thinking of it as a first-person gameplay with a third-person cover system, at most. So, if you're peeking around corners and stuff like that, it goes third-person. You see yourself, you see how fucking bulky or lithe you are, and then you can peek corners that way. And then having a dodge cover system like Assassin's Creed or Gears of War has. So, going behind pillars or tables and stuff like that, and hiding from whatever you're fighting. Because you're basically playing a mercenary. You're just hired to kill monsters or do odd jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the stealth system is going to be based around sound, lighting, and line of sight. So, you know, your typical stealth game fare. Metal Gear is probably one of the biggest examples for that, because it works. They have a fantastic system that's very effective. I would also like to implement a parkour system like Thief or Dying Light.
Yeah.
And obviously the equipment you're carrying will affect how effective you are at it, and how noisy you are at it. So even jumping a 3-foot gap from a building to another building could be very, very different depending on how loaded out you are.
Yeah.
And a concept very similar to Thief, like the original Thief games, you solved the mission your own way. You didn't take one set path to go through a level, you solved it your way, and then you leave. I could make it to be something like you could be a vampire or witch or something, but that defeats the entire purpose. You are a monster hunter. That is your entire shtick. I mean, being a vampire, I suppose you could institute, like, half vampires, like Dampier. I suppose something like that would work, but I haven't really thought of races all that much. Witches might be an interesting concept because they'd be able to use spells more freely than just humans using, you know, casting slips.
Yeah.
Because the spell system I had currently initially thought of was humans obviously don't have innate magic. They have to use spell books and stuff like that. So the spell system is based around writing sigils on pieces of paper, and if you use the same sigils over and over and over again, you get a burnout. So if you cast fire too many times, you start on fire. If you cast a lightning spell too many times, you shock yourself. But enough repeated use, your body attunes to that type of magic, and then you can brand yourself with a tattoo that'll allow you free casting. And at that point, the tattoo, you can reuse the spell over and over and over again. You just take, like, minor damage or something. It just burns you. Things like that. But those were all the innate mechanics that I wanted to institute in it. Dishonored was another example of how I wanted it to work. Dishonored's fantastic. It always has been. I mean, I still go back on occasion and play the first one. I've never beaten the second one, but I only have the second one because of Xbox Game Pass. So I'd actually have to be on my Xbox to play it. I heard it's fantastic. It's just really fucking hard to play a non-lethal character playing as his daughter. That's from Corey, because he beat the game on both characters on the hardest difficulty. He said the hardest thing to do is play non-lethal as the daughter, because all of her abilities are lethal.
Yeah.
And of course, playing as Corvo in the second one, you have the same abilities you had in the first game, and then some better ones. And of course, the first game abilities, it's just free play on whatever the hell you want to do. But yeah, I was going through a while ago on weapon types, armor types, spells, tools. I also want to institute tools and gadgets and stuff like that. So obviously this is going to be sitting in like a Victorian setting. So your typical Van Helsing fare, but that's because that's where most of the mythos for those creatures comes from.
Yeah.
And instituting stuff like Eldritch from his name slipped my mind. Cthulhu's creator.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Lovecraft, that was it. I had it, and then the name was gone. Which is annoying because I was playing the H.P. Lovecraft map on Killing Floor last night. Did you see that at all, Bacon?
No.
It's a community-made map for HP Lovecraft, and as the mission goes on, it starts summoning these statues around a summoning circle, and eventually it summons Shub-Niggurath in the ocean through some giant windows, and you can see him thrashing around, and then Cthulhu appears in the background.
Oh.
So you just have this highlighted background shadow of Cthulhu with glowing yellow eyes overlooking the battlefield while you're killing Zeds. One of the coolest fucking maps I've ever seen. I mean, I don't care for Lovecraft, he was kind of a human piece of shit, but his writing is, some of his writing's fascinating stuff. The monsters he came up with is just weird as hell. Back to what I was going on before, because I sidetracked a lot. I was thinking of tools and stuff like that to go with it. So, like grappling hooks and crossbows and stuff like that. And trying to think of new things to add on with there to make your life easier, but also harder if you carry too many of them. Obviously. And then, materials and upgrades and enchantments were also key points. So, if you have a longsword, currently I have these set as damage scaling of D8, D6, stuff like that. It sounds very D&D-like, but, you know, that's based off of how much damage does this do compared to your bare hands. So a D6 is 6 times the damage of your bare hands.
Okay.
So, a longsword right now I have sitting at D8. It has a reach of 2, so it's twice as long as your reach would be with a short sword.
Yeah.
It has a large visibility because it's pretty big. And the scale goes from small, medium, large, minuscule, grand. So it's a 5-area system. So if you have just a longsword, you can have it made out of different materials. You can use money to have a new one made. Right now, the materials I have thought of are bronze, iron, steel, Damascus, silver, and glass. So it scales up based on that, but it also scales up the weight. And the weight is obviously what's going to be affecting you. So bronze is currently your basic. It's got a 0 debuff, and it doesn't increase the weight at all. It's a bronze sword. An iron sword is going to have a 1d damage buff, but it also increases the weight by 10%. Steel would be a 2d buff with a 20% weight increase. Damascus would be a 3d buff with a 20% weight increase. So you're getting the damage increase with no more weight increase after that point. A silver, which is going to be the most powerful, obviously, is going to be a 5d damage buff, but only a 10% weight increase. But you also have the option at any point of making a glass weapon, which is a 5d damage buff and a 20% weight increase, but you can only hit with it once. So it does an insane amount of damage, but you can use it one time. And it'll be one of those early in the game access kind of things.
Yeah.
So even though you can normally do iron or bronze or steel with enough money, glass will always be an effective use, but it will break instant fucking taneously. Maybe I'll have it at like 3 hits at maximum. And then I was going down enchantments that you can also put on top of these, and of course you can only have like 1 enchantment on a weapon. Hollow doesn't give you a buff, but it decreases your weapon's weight by 10%, which would be really efficient depending on what you're doing with it. Grooved, I was thinking a 5% weight increase, but also allowing poison.
That'd work.
I think that would work pretty well. Weighted, which would give it a 10% weight increase, but also increase by your damage by 1 or 2 Ds. Burn would obviously be a 1d burn. Serrated would be a 1d bleed, but it would also increase your weight. And shock would be a 1d with a paralyze effect. Just a stacking paralyze. And then there was one I was thinking of that's just referred to as the Slayer enchantment. It's a 3d buff with a 10% weight in decrease.
Yeah.
So it's just your best of the best enchantment, I guess. You want all-out damage? You make yourself a silver Slayer enchanted anything, really. Currently, my melee weapons are listed as short swords, long swords, machetes, daggers, bastard swords, great swords, like horse cleavers,
Yeah.
spears, glaives, halberds, saps, cestus, claws. I forgot axes. I gotta get those in there. So, hatchets, hand axe, broad axe. Anything else you can think of, melee?
Not that I can think of.
Hatchets, hand axes, broad axes. Great
Halberd.
axe? Halberds are on there.
Yeah, great axe.
Great axe would probably be a good one. Hatchet's obviously going to be like a short sword level.
Yeah.
D6 there. A hand axe would probably be a D8. Broad axe would be a... probably also be a D8, maybe a D... yeah, D10. Because it's a weighty axe. And a great axe will probably be a maximum, which is a D12. One, two, three. More access to updated versions of weapons can make it steampunk. I'm not a fan of steampunk. I'm really not. It's just not my genre. I mean, I understand the appeal. It's just not my thing. It does give me more freedom in making weapons and mechanics and stuff like that, but I feel it would defeat the setting more.
Mm-hmm.
It would really just not make sense in my personal opinion. I can keep it an open mind on it, but at this point, I don't think steampunk would be very applicable. Let's see here.
I'm not seeing any of your chat pop up for some reason.
It's my mom messaging me in Facebook.
Oh.
Facebook does not show up on my Twitch stream stuff.
Oh.
Or through Mob Crush, I can stream to Facebook, but for some reason it doesn't show up on my viewer count or my chat bar.
Oh.
But Mixer, YouTube, and Twitch all do. I got no control over that, unfortunately. That's why I have a window that has access to all 4 chats at once, so
Yeah.
I can see everything show up. Let's see here. I'm just going over details for these. The 4 axe types I just added. I don't know, how did I forget axes? Like, what the fuck? I have swords, daggers, glaives, and stuff like that, but I never added axes? Like, what the hell's wrong with me?
What?
You what?
What?
Fuck you. Speed with a hatchet is obviously going to be fast. Hand axe would be medium. And broad axe and great axe are obviously going to be slow heavy weapons. And then of course I have subtypes listed for each of these weapons, but I don't know what I would want to do with subtypes.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, subtypes just being what type of weapon it is, just giving access cosmetically, I guess. So a short sword, you can have either a siphon or a standard short sword. Or if it had, like, access, or if I did some Japanese themes, I could have a wakizashi. So,
Yeah.
cosmetically, it looks different, but it's the same weapon.
But do you have a
It
kukri?
functions the same. A kukri? That would
You gotta
probably
add a
fall
kukri.
under... Kukiri would either fall under the machete or a dagger. Because that's pretty much what it is. It's a halfway point between a dagger and a machete.
Yeah.
So I'll throw that under, like, machete subtypes. Because kukri are neat. It's just, that's very specific, I guess.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm actually 10 minutes over my normal time. I can go over ranged weapons at the very least, because now I have some concept. Oh, that's why I
Yeah.
didn't have hatchet. I had it under a ranged weapon, which I could leave it under
Does-
both.
The tomahawk would be.
Yeah, I'll change that to tomahawk. So, ranged weapons, I currently have listed darts, short bow, long bow, crossbow, great bow, knife, and tomahawk. So, throwing knives and tomahawks. Great bow, I'm thinking, are like Dark Souls 1 great bows that fire the fucking lances.
Yeah.
And they hit you from a mile away because they're ridiculous. Any ideas on those? Any other ranged weapons you might think of? Flintlock, maybe? I didn't have flintlock.
I don't know. You should also take like a little bit of a modern take too, like have fucking shotguns and stuff.
Well, as I said, Victorian era still has firearms. We just
Yeah.
have to think of what works. Flintlock would obviously be one of them, so we'd have a matchlock,
Blunderbuss.
a blunderbuss. And obviously, these guys would be a little bit more technologically advanced than the common people, so maybe they might have access to more...
Like repeating
modernized.
firearms.
They might have
Stuff.
repeating firearm stuff and things like that. So, more things to add to the list. Anything else you can think of at the top of your head, then? 'Cause I'm kind of drawing a
Not-
blank.
Not really.
Alright. Yeah. I think that's enough rambling for today. And then we'll have more to ramble about tomorrow, hopefully. Other than that, thanks for anybody who's still watching, and I will either be playing... I might be playing Pavlov with this nerd in like 20 minutes, for all I know.
I got up into my buddy's house at 5, so I gotta leave at 4:30.
Oh, okay. So,
So I'll be back after that.
alright, so I'll probably be on playing games later tonight. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you all later.